Yeah, yeah.
But I remember one time talking him into going to Island Park, and we came home, and the pivot had walked across the road. It broke the barrier,
Oh,
walked across the road, and was laying in the road. Now, we
mm,
had employees,
yeah.
but nobody must have left. It was a Sunday. Nobody left the house.
Everyone stayed home.
They did. They stayed home that day. And we came home, and I looked at him and said, I will never ask you to go away on a weekend in the
Oh,
summer again,
yeah,
because that is awful to come home to.
sure.
So you have to, it's all give and take. And
It's a beautiful chaos, this roller coaster ride. The ups, the downs are spinning all around inside. It's a beautiful chaos. Sometimes I love, sometimes I hate. Have to pause, renegotiate, but with gratitude I appreciate this beautiful chaos. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Beautiful Chaos. I'm Staci Miller,
I'm Tammy Ramsey.
and today's episode is The Farmer's Wife. Life Beside the Field, which I love this title. I clearly not a farmer's wife. However, I know a farmer's wife, which is really helpful for my part of this episode. But also, those of you that know me know that I've participated a lot on this farm, worked for you guys for a while, and
Like 2 years.
Wasn't 2 years plus
yeah.
like
Before that,
6 years
too.
of harvest
Yeah.
maybe now. So
you know.
I know a lot about the farm, which I love. I love the idea of growing food and supplying food to people, all the things. We'll get into that later. But what we're going to focus on today is, in this situation, a farmer's wife is going from city life to very rural life,
Yep.
and kind of what that looks like, and what it's like to support your farmer husband, and that might be in a lot of different ways, and so we'll talk about different ways. So how do you want to start this, Tammy? Talking about your relationship, I guess, or your history of how you became a farmer's wife.
Yeah. Well, and actually, it's really funny because when I met Kevin and we decided to get married, I had called my mom and said, "Oh, I met, this guy. It's really turned into a good thing, and we're gonna get married." And my mom was like, you always said you were gonna marry a farmer," and I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
So I do remember when I'm from Virginia Beach. So very touristy, big town.
Right.
Norfolk, Virginia's big city. There's 8 lanes of highway. It's just very busy. Nobody knows anybody unless you live in an apartment, which we did.
Yeah.
Then everybody.
And that's your own small town.
Yeah, that's your
I
small
grew up
town.
the same way. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
So anyway, so then we moved to Delaware, and we lived in an apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
But right down the road there was 2 farms. So I would walk a half a mile to the one farm. And they had horses, and I saw they had horses. And even at a young age, I think I was 10 or 11. I think I was 11. I was not afraid to approach people and ask the craziest things.
Shocked.
I know, right? So anyway, so I went in and I said, well, I'd really like to ride your horses. Is there some work that I could do for you to ride your horses?
Someone raised you right.
Yeah. So, I mean, we picked corn, shucked corn, churned butter. I mean, old-fashioned butter churn. Wow. Yes, things you don't know.
You did that in the city in an apartment complex?
No, it was down the road. It was a half a mile down the road. So
you did this when you started helping out the farm?
Delaware. No, this is Delaware.
I'm so confused.
Okay.
Okay.
So Delaware, at 11 years old,
yeah.
we moved to Dover, Delaware. So Dover, Delaware is like Pocatello.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of, there's this congestion of people, but then there's all this rural.
Okay.
Right? And farming. And they didn't have this road that I'm talking about that was right around the corner from us.
Gotcha.
Small farms.
Sure.
Very small farms.
Like hobby farm.
Yeah. So when we did corn, I rode a horse bareback out in the cornfield, and they took a horse-drawn flatbed wagon, and we were 11 years old with machetes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I see nothing wrong with
Back in those days, there wasn't. And we were chopping down the corn and throwing them on there. And then we would take that and ride it out into the field and go feed the cows that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And the horses and stuff. And so just different kind of thing. But I would do anything. I would clean tack. I would shovel the barns,
So was it the attraction to that lifestyle at that age? Was it, I really like cowboys, or was it, I'll do anything to ride a horse?
At that point, it was, I'll do anything to ride a horse. But
Fair.
in doing all of the things that I had to do to ride a horse,
Right.
I was like, I kind of like this. Like, I like being outside.
Right.
And I was a TV kid. Like, I kissed Lassie on a daily basis on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
We all
watched a lot of TV.
Appropriate.
And I loved commercials. I was the kid that would tell everyone to be quiet during the commercials. I didn't care about your stupid program you're watching. Just let me listen to the commercials.
Listen, on Super Bowl Sunday, I'm still that kid.
Right? Me too.
I watch it for the commercials.
100%. Me too. 100%.
Absolutely.
That's why we get along so good.
Yes.
We're so alike.
Yeah.
In so many ways. But anyway, so yeah, so I think at that point, young, and I did that for a couple of years, and then my dad would always take me horseback riding and going to do things, and when he would come and visit. And so I just really liked that lifestyle, I guess.
Gotcha.
And so, but, you're graduating high school, and I was like getting out of a podunk town and gonna do anything, but, in Delaware, you died, got married. I think that's it. Or you left.
Or went to jail.
Or went to jail, yeah. So, actually, I didn't know anybody in Delaware. All the states, I never knew one person that ever went to jail. It was when I moved to American Falls. And I was sitting at the table at the first grade day.
Yeah.
And met a mother, and she was telling me about, oh yeah, and that so-and-so, that's his grandparents, because his dad's in jail and his mom's in rehab. I mean, like, all this stuff, and I'm going, oh, I'm like a little kid. And I was in my 20s. Like, I was 25, 26, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know anybody in jail.
I will say the difference is that you were young in Delaware. Mm-hmm. Now you're grown, so you're more likely to know adults.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that there's a bigger population of people going into the jails here. No. It's just that you're of an age to be aware of it. Exactly.
Yes. And it was, I had limited exposure to adults for sure.
But back to you and Kevin.
Okay.
So how old were you when you married Kevin?
I was 29.
Okay. But prior to that, you had not dated or married a farmer before him, correct?
No.
So you had forgotten this attraction to farming.
Yes. Now I did. My second husband was a wannabe cowboy.
Okay.
So I thought he was a cowboy. So I think I was attracted to that because he had a big truck with big lift kit, and he wore cowboy boots and the Copenhagen in his back pocket of his Wranglers and a cowboy hat and shirt, and I thought that was so I was attracted to that.
Sure.
But then wasn't attracted to that and realized that was not for me. But
I also picture a conflict in you, even with Kevin now, like love the rural farm life, love supporting the art of farming, the circle of life, all of that, cows. But also, I feel like you, at least previously, maybe even now, you're drawn to traveling to a city for the city life, or wanting to like do, be on not necessarily TV, but we're on your screen somewhere, or we're in your ear somewhere, on stage, out doing, and that kind of is like still a pool of busy city life, calm rural life. Which maybe you found a really great balance between the two also, which is probably great.
I think that's where I've grown to be. I certainly wasn't always there. And I think that, so several things happened. Like I'd forgotten all about the farmer thing when I met Kevin, and I fell in love with him. Not necessarily anything to do with the farm.
Yeah, it wasn't farmersonly.com.
It was not farmersonly.com. But yeah. So I fell in love with him, and I was working a full-time job. Matter of fact, I was working for Idaho 8 television station, selling advertising, and I was a spokesperson.
Juxtaposition again.
Yeah, I was a spokesperson for Cole Chevrolet TV for 2.5 years, and I would write scripts and direct commercials and, sell the ads, like do all of it. Yeah. And I loved it because I got to use my creativeness, which I had forgotten I had. I could creatively help you finance stuff because I was a loan officer for many years. So I could help you to budget. I could help you to get your life in order.
Sure.
But I didn't get to use my real creative stuff. So then here I'm using my creative skills, meet this wonderful man that I fall in love with, and then I move out to the farm, and I worked till I had James, and I had to switch jobs though because I couldn't drive back and forth to Pocatello. It was too much because
too far. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I worked off of the farm until James was, I think, a year. He was a year or two old because I remember taking him to work on work stuff with me. But anyways, and then I became involved in doing more farm stuff.
Yeah.
And then I started helping in harvest, and I really loved harvest.
Yeah.
I started off picking potatoes.
Yeah.
That was my job, and I was perfectly happy to pick potatoes. It was like a competition for me if I could get all these crap out of here. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Faster I could go.
Yeah.
And
till you're dizzy.
Yeah. And then I moved up to I kind of helped. I watched and paid attention. I love mechanical stuff. So if Kevin was gone and things would break down, I would try to reset and restart, and Maximo would help me. Like, he instantly, we don't speak the same language, but he understands me, and I understand fully his body language and like what he's telling me.
Right.
And so we worked really well together, and we were able to fix things and keep things running, and then Kevin would come back and be all surprised, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I ran the piler for multiple years and really loved that.
Yeah.
So
because it's a little bit of directing, but there's also like this feeling of accomplishment as you're getting the cellar filled. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah. And it's like you get to be a little bit of a perfectionist because you like I'm always trying to like get the perfect line.
Get your lines good. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to stack them right. And it was plus it was so physical because back before the nice new piler we got, I was running up piles that didn't have stairs. A couple of our cellars don't have stairs. And then the other ones sometimes I would crawl through the holes where the pipes are. Crawl through the hole and run down and go up the stairs, Yeah.
That sounds safe.
And then I would go down the potato pile, and Kevin always made it look so graceful because he would get down. He has long legs.
Yeah, he has long legs.
He's a gazelle.
Like a little monkey, yeah.
And I'm like, I think I'm him, and I go cruising down the potato pile, and boom, I'm just like rolling down. My pants are filthy, and I'm laughing the entire way because you have to laugh at yourself. So, anyways, those good times.
There's something really beautiful. I mean, there's obviously something beautiful about nature, but it's interesting when you can really sit back and see the beauty of farming. Like you're talking about those straight lines. Yeah. I know when I drive truck and harvest is what I usually do, and I know when I get that first truck and I come off the back and I'm the first to pick before the pickers, right? Because I'm picking right off of the back of the truck. Yeah. So I kind of have the same competition. I want to give them as little as possible, even if my arms are, because sometimes we're getting like rocks, like heavy rocks. Heavy. Yeah. And this year I'm telling you, I got a line to find here from just chucking stuff. But when those first potatoes start coming off of I'm not the farmer. I didn't make sure that those were grown well. But as soon as they start coming off the truck, I'm like, guys, good job. Yeah. Like, these are really pretty potatoes. These look great. Yeah. Or seeing your pretty lines, or even when you said that you like rolled around and got completely filthy, there's something really beautiful about that at the end of the day, to be like, I'm filthy because I think it goes back to our last episode where I said, you earned it. Yes. You walk away from a business job, your makeup kind of got ruined by the end of the day, your hair has fallen flat, you don't want to be wearing those shoes anymore, your feet kind of hurt, and you don't feel like maybe, you feel, worse for the wear maybe by the end of the day, but when you're at the end of a farming day and you're like taking off your filthy pants and taking off your filthy clothes and whatever, I don't know, there's something about that that's like, man, I was in it today.
Yes, I worked my
butt off and I got things done and got dirty to show.
Got dirt in my ears, dirt in my hair.
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot rewear your clothes.
You go to like take a little crunchy in your teeth.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
especially when we're in the sandy field.
Yep, and it's great to go to bed at night and be so physically exhausted that. As soon as you close your eyes, best sleep ever.
Best sleep.
Other than, I did have dreams of piling potatoes or picking potatoes.
Oh, absolutely.
Once, like towards the latter part of harvest.
Right.
And I was like, man, I worked all night last night.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it is beautiful. But back to you and Kevin. Sorry.
Yeah. So we've been together for what 29 years. I don't know. 20. I'm married in 97. What does that make it? I always forget. It's 28.
It makes it math. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, but what I really loved is that, like, I did office work. I did for about 10 years. I did the books, and I did created a SOP, created a whole, back in the day, they do these gap audits, good agricultural practices. And when it first started, they had no documentation. So we all had to make up our own.
Yep.
And so I made up all those documents. And so that part I enjoyed. I never enjoyed paying the bills, which God wants me to pay bills. I'm just going to tell you that, because
you can't get away from it.
You can't. After 10 years of doing that, and I just said to Kevin, I can't do this anymore. It's like putting a fork in my eye every day to do the books. And at the time, it was hard. We were having difficulty working together. Both of us were not in a healthy spot, mindset wise. But anyway, so I moved on and started doing other things to earn a small amount of money.
Spoiler alert, she now does the books for 3 entities of Music in the Park. And so...
And my mom, and our personal account, and then somebody else that's elderly that I'm taking care of.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I say. God wanted me to take care of the books, and I gave up and walked away. I know, right? Yeah. I should have just stuck with it.
So you have worked in the fields... near the fields, in the office, and have like a full picture of everything that's being done. You didn't just marry the farmer and reap the benefits, have dinner on the table kind of thing.
Right. I was in it. And then we decided to get the ranch, and we'll talk about that in another episode. So that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it sure is.
But anyways, and I do love, I love hate it.
Yes, you do.
I really do. And I think it's because, I read The 5 Languages of Love again.
Yeah.
Realized that my love language is quality time. That's like the worst one you can have.
Because you expect a lot from other people.
Yes.
And see, and I'm just going to say this, and you can take it how you will. You married Kevin. Kevin is married to the farm.
Yes.
And I think that's the case in a lot of farming relationships.
All of it.
The farm is a 24/7 job. There, you are never off the clock.
Yep. I've always said, being married to a farmer is like being married to a doctor.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, they're always on call.
You have to be very independent. You have to be okay with being alone. You have to create your own things to do that make you happy. And what I found was doing theater made me happy. Volunteering made me happy. Creating music at the park made me happy.
Right.
Writing makes me happy. Doing anything to do with marketing makes me happy.
Right.
Like, so I started turning my focus more there, and Kevin's very supportive and is very much like, whatever you want to do that makes you happy, because I'm happy when you're happy.
Correct.
Right? And then also...
And he supports and comes, and he'll leave the field to come to things and make sure he's on time to Music in the Park and things like that. And he's very supportive.
He does. Yeah. He's very good. And he's really good. It started out, we only took 1 week of vacation a year. And I remember we went, before we had cows, we would go like maybe for a weekend to Island Park. Sure. And once a year we'd go 1 week there. Mm-hmm. And then during the summer, we would never go anywhere because, you
got to check pivots, and you got to check cows, and you got to check soil. And
Well, back then we didn't have the cows. It was just the farm.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember one time talking him into going to Island Park, and we came home and the pivot had walked across the road. It broke the barrier. Oh. Walked across the road and was laying in the road. Now, we had employees. Yeah. Nobody must have left. It was a Sunday. Nobody left the house.
Everyone stayed home.
They did. They stayed home that day. And we came home, and I looked at him and said, I will never ask you to go away on a weekend in the summer again. Because that is awful to come home to.
Sure.
So you have to, it's all give and take. And Now he's actually, we go like a week in November, we'll go 2 weeks in December, we go 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks in January, and maybe a week in February.
But I think that's what makes you and Kevin a good pair, is that you have been really healthy for him.
Yeah.
Because without you, in my opinion, Kevin would just be out on the farm all the time.
Yes.
I mean, he would be that like 80-year-old farmer who's like, I don't care what needs to be done today, just let me get in a tractor and drive around because I just need to be in my stuff. But you've pulled him out of that and helped him to just also live his life and enjoy a vacation and delegate his responsibilities and, you know, let some things go so that he can walk away from the farm and not worry about it. Yeah. And obviously, you know, it's a family farm. There's a lot of family that's helping to take care of it. Yeah. So it's not like it was in the beginning when it was really Kevin trying to start everything from the ground up, or for him starting everything from the ground up and really establishing his roots as being the farmer. And now he is kind of passing a lot of that off to the next generation. And so now he can walk away and know that somebody's here to check a pivot, or somebody's here to birth a cow in the middle of the night in December, and those kinds of things.
All those things. Yeah, for sure. And that's where I do think we're really good for each other, because he does support me. He centers me. He's helps me to grow as a person, and I feel like I help him grow as well. And when we met, the guy that introduced us, I worked at Idaho 8 with, and he said, hey, I need you to meet my friend because he's a hermit, and I'm just worried. He's been a hermit for about 1.5 years now, and I'm worried he's just going to be a hermit.
Yep.
But then, you know, I just had lunch with that same friend 2 weeks ago, and he goes, you know, I didn't tell you to marry him.
You know, it's funny that somebody saw your personality and said, man, if anyone's going to get this guy to not be a hermit, it's going to be this chick. Because there are some days where I'm like, how did these two end up? Because Kevin's just so calm and he's so like centered all the time, and he's super focused, you know, and, you know, very dedicated to the farm. And then you just look at you and you're just like, pew, 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 you know, just kind of like everywhere wild. And, you know, but then you look at Kevin, he's just like, here we are. Like, that's how she is, you know, but it has just become such a healthy relationship. And obviously you've had your ups and downs, but in the grand scheme of things, like, that friend was right. Having, you know, your really spunky kind of wild personality to pull Kevin out of his hyper focused dedication to his farm was really probably a healthy thing. It's probably made him a better dad and a better grandpa. And, you know, he really will make time for his grandkids.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Above anything else. Like, I think that's, I mean, for me, if I'm observing this based off of what you're telling me the history was versus what I see today, is if it came to, you know, like a vacation or taking care of the farm back in the day, he really had to prioritize the farm. But today, if it was like a grandkid needed him, that dude is like the first to head out and make sure that gets taken care of. Like, he's a really cool grandpa. Yeah.
And he's also, you know, like if the kids have an event, he's the one that's like, hey, if you need me to go, or if you need me to work for you, so that the parents can go.
Yeah.
Then he makes that happen too.
Well, because he probably missed a lot of things.
He did.
And sees what that did.
Yeah. And he tried, I mean, he did try hard to make it to what he could. He always told me during soccer, when James was little, he played soccer, and he goes, I don't think I'll ever make a game, you know, because
soccer is the hardest. Yeah.
And I think he made maybe one game.
Yeah.
And I do remember coming home, and I'm not going to name names, but I would come home and I would say, well, so-and-so's dad is a farmer, and they're there at every practice, and they're at games.
Right.
And then, like, you know, 10 years goes by, and so-and-so's dad is no longer a farmer.
There you go.
And he's like, so see?
Yeah.
You know, I had that choice, and this is the choice that I made. So yeah. But anyway, so I probably love this lifestyle 99% of the time. And there's that 1%, and it's usually just because, you know, he's busy or taken away, and I've, like, harvest. We get to the end of harvest and I'm done.
Yeah.
and we better have time together.
Right. Like you said, your love language is time spent. Time spent's a hard one to get out of a farmer.
Yes. And so I need time, but he listens very well because, and he read the love languages too, and his is quality time.
Yeah.
And I said, and he was planning to go, I don't know, he had something going on, and I'm like, no, we're spending Sunday together. Right. This is our day. Yeah. And then I'm just asking for one day. Yeah. And he was like, okay. Yeah. I'll make that happen. But good. So anyway, so he's really good. So, but it is hard because they are just so into working, and it's not ever. So I want to point out that farming is like one of the hardest jobs, I think, when you're looking on the outside in it. You know, it's very time consuming, and it's never. I mean, if something goes wrong in the middle of the night, somebody's got to get up and fix it. And we're lucky that we do have family, because now it's not just Kevin. It can be, Louie or, someone else. Right. And so that's really good. And that's made a really big difference.
Well, and I think when you say, it's a full-time job, it's so busy. I'm also a city girl who did not understand any of it. And when I first moved here, I didn't understand, you would hear people at school like, oh, that's a farmer's kid. And, that's why they have that nice car. And I didn't understand there was money in farming. That's not, I don't know. Like, I guess I just saw like farming in like movies and stuff. And it just seemed like really hard, dirty, gritty work. And to me, that doesn't look glamorous. And like, there's, a profit in it, or like a motivation to really want to like build that into a big business. And I also had the very, very naive thinking of, how could they be that busy? Like, you plant a seed in the spring and then you like dig it up in the fall, and didn't think that there was a whole lot of business going on in between that. And and never worked harvest. And I had no recollection, or no representation of like what this was supposed to look like until I started working here. Yeah. And obviously it was like baptism by fire, because I was hired to work in the office, which I absolutely loved. And I also, updated a lot of those SOPs, created more SOPs, did
a big sign. That was kind of a collaboration between all of us, but you started that, or I don't know. It was us
like
together,
a website and
you and me and
a motto and, all the things.
Yeah.
So, which I loved. I absolutely loved being in the office, but I'd look out the window and be like, well, I wonder what they're doing out there. I wonder what they're doing out there. And eventually it was like, hey, you want to come help with this, or you want to come help with that? And I mean, obviously not a mechanic. I wasn't doing anything like that. But, it wasn't too long until somebody put my butt in a tractor. And I thought that was the craziest thing they'd ever thought of, because what business do I have in that big old piece of machinery? And then I was like, don't take me out of this thing. Like, I'd finish a field and be like, can I do another one? Like, this is so fun. I absolutely, of all the things, loved being in the tractor the most. It was so much fun, which was wild, because that would have been the furthest from but this city girl learned that it's a 24/7 job. Yeah. That yes, could be a profit to be made, but man, does it cost a lot to run a farm. Holy moly. Yeah. I would watch those invoices come in and be like, this could go south so fast. Yeah. It's a scary thing to mess with a commodity at that rate, and I'm sure that Kevin deals with this kind of stress of just like, I look at the first batch of potatoes when they come out and like, man, good job, guys. And they're probably looking at it like, all right, all that math worked out, all of that balancing the NPK, that worked out, all that for, whatever. Like they're looking at it and being like, all right, I think we're doing okay.
Now we can breathe.
Or even watching Louie, like all the technology that's available on it, just on his phone now. He'd pull up his phone and be like, oh, we've done this many sacks and this many this, and if we do this many more and at this many trucks, then we'll fill this cellar, but we'll have to move by this point. And it's like down to the exact like truckload, and we're nowhere near, being done with filling the cellar. He's already got the math figured out. But he's also realizing exactly what the yield is, and knowing like, hey, I think we did okay. Like it's a whole thing. It's a lot goes into it.
It is. And I would have to say Kevin and now the kids are very good managers. Mm-hmm. And Kevin has always been a good businessman, a good manager, as well as a farmer. Right. And there's a lot of people out there that have been good farmers, and they no longer farm because they weren't very good managers.
Kevin has really high expectations, and he knows what he wants, and he doesn't, beat around the bush of making sure that he has quality things happening all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's good. So he's provided just a wonderful life for our whole family, not
Right.
just for me,
Right.
but for the whole family. So I wanted to bring up, because we've talked about like what my life looked like, and I think that I put off like a lot of community stuff. So I feel like at this point in my life, it's now about fixing lunches and helping with kids when I can, and kind of and taking more time to go and just, we'll never be those retired people that is like 3 months gone anywhere.
Sure.
Because, well, for one, both of us at the end of 2 weeks of a trip are like, oh, we're missing the grandkids and we need to get back home.
Right. And just the stability of being home and rooted. And,
yeah. So all that's great. So, anyways, but I lost my train of thought. There goes my train off the tracks.
I think where you're headed is towards just that balance, and kind of where you lie in the balance right now. So you're making lunches, you're taking care of kids.
And then I feel like my way of participating, and it's not necessarily the farm, but as the farmer's wife, I am participating as a very strong community person. Yeah. I am the most community minded out of probably all of us, and I love our community. We have done so much. We have a Christmas festival coming up December 6th.
Yep.
That we're working on, and so like we just do a lot for our community, and so I feel like that's also a form of participation, because that's like the farm donating, because they're donating me.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're donating my time.
They're donating your time.
Yeah. So,
but also you do bring, there's so much that goes into farming. So helping to make lunches and helping to take care of kids and help is allowing them more time to do the things that they need to do also. Right. So everything is still contributing back to the farm. But I think another thing, when you talk about how community oriented you are, I think it's important to recognize how rural your life is once you get out here. For me, the first thing I think of when I get out here is like, man, if I went to the grocery store to get like ingredients for dinner and I forgot one thing, I would not be as flexible in my brain as some people can be, to just be like, that's okay, we didn't need that one ingredient. Because I'm a perfectionist when it comes to like following a recipe and cooking, and I'm like, but I needed a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin and I don't have any cumin. Like, is it going to make a big difference? Probably not in the grand scheme of things, but that's immediately always a thing. Even like on road trips when, we would drive from here to California when I was younger, as soon as we got like super rural, I'm like, where do they get a gallon of milk? Like, where are these people stopping at the store and picking up, I forgot to get eggs today. Now, eggs, maybe they're getting in the backyard, but there is a balance of, you go into the community and you're putting on these events and you're busy. When you come home, you're very removed from any sort of city, busy lifestyle of any kind. And there is a sense of like peace when you get out here. Yeah. That peace comes, I'm sure, with a lot of planning and preparation, because like I said, I could not feel at peace living out here if I forgot an ingredient at the store or I was out of milk and didn't feel like driving all the way into town.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually, Trishelle says I'm her grocery store, and she's probably mine, because we
rely on each other.
Even
sure.
the neighbor, you rely on your neighbor more.
Yeah.
But I've also become a better cook, because I do better winging recipes than I do following. I follow a recipe, and half the time it doesn't turn out, or sometimes the first time it turns out and the second time it doesn't. But if I just wing it, it's like I'm learning to substitute things. Well, because I eat healthier too. Yeah. But I substitute a lot of foods. Right. But when I'm out of an agreement, I have found that if I just Google, what could I use instead of this? Right. Sometimes that's helpful also. Or I'll just try, especially if it's something spicy, I'll just try a different spice, and then it gives it a different flavor.
But do you feel like maybe the calm and peace of living out here and feeling more rural gives you the drive to really push for being involved in the community and doing more, because you can step away from it also?
Yes, because, I'm a social butterfly, but there is a big side of me that likes to be alone and likes
Mm-hmm.
the, and I do. I love the peace of being out here. My backyard is my favorite view.
Mm-hmm.
Staring at the mountains. Every
Right.
morning I'm looking at the sunrise and drinking my coffee or tea and looking
Mm-hmm.
out on that. And I love and adore it. And I love that I don't have people coming and knocking on my door, ringing my doorbell all the time,
Right.
or loud neighbors or cars driving by, or
Right.
yeah, so it is way peaceful. And but I'm ready to go into town
Yeah.
and go be around people and
So
do
now put
things.
yourself in Kevin's shoes.
Hmm.
And so you're busy, 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 busy on the farm, and you come home. Do you think he feels like a piece of being at home and away from the farm? Or do you think that he looks out the back porch drinking his morning coffee and is looking at his crops or his cows because they're right there and going, I need to go do that. I need to take care of this. Like, does he feel like he's just surrounded by work and actually is busier in his head than he
Yeah,
should be?
so I'm 100% sure, because that's, he stresses at night. He doesn't sleep all the way. He
Mm-hmm.
sleeps way better when we're gone and on vacation. He will sleep. Usually, when we're on vacation, the first 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
he naps and sleeps and all the
Yeah.
things. And then it's like he's recovered. And then
Right.
but he sleeps way better because he doesn't have all that things on his mind.
Yeah,
So,
because it would be like one of us, setting up a tent in the middle of our office. He's surrounded by his work all the time.
yeah. Well, and I have that problem here. I started doing something stupid, and I was taking, uh, you know, and I work on various things, right? All the things. And
Mm-hmm.
I would go on the kitchen table, or I would take a minute and sit on the couch. Well, then I started feeling like I couldn't relax at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh, wait. That's because I'm making everywhere a work area."
Right.
So now I have confined myself to the office.
Right.
When I'm working, I am in here,
Correct.
because then I can shut the door and I can be done. So, yeah, for him, I could see that just waking up and looking out the window would not give him the peace that it gives me.
Right.
It would give him that, well, I've got to do this, and did I do this? And we got to chemigate, and when are we going to do that? And
But I do
yeah.
think there are times, so obviously her and I do music in the park. We've talked about that. So we put on concerts for our community every
Mm-hmm.
Thursday in the summer. And it takes a lot to put it on. We really, a lot of planning, months and months and planning goes into it. And then that first night is usually really chaotic. We'll get there 2-3 hours early,
Yeah.
and we're not enjoying the peace of being there 2 or 3 hours early. We're cleaning, we're organizing, we're picking up garbage, we're setting up chairs, we're setting up the stage, whatever. But then we're also like parking our food trucks and organizing where the vendors are all going to go so that everything kind of makes sense and everybody's where they need to be, and making sure that cars aren't coming through too quickly because we're trying to park people and there's kids going to try to run to the park. It's a whole thing. And then we're like, we're checking our time, and we've got to go up and get on the microphone. We've got to make announcements. We've got to thank all of our sponsors, because without them we could never do what we do, and et cetera, et cetera. And I try to remember about halfway through the night, before we get crazy into the next step and the next step, to stop us both and go, turn around and look at all that we've done. Look at all these people that have come out to see this. Like, because you kind of just need a minute to like appreciate the fact that yes, it's crazy, it's busy, it's da 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 da, but look at what all this is. So I also think that for Kevin, it could also be that on days where things are running well, right? He could probably get out there with his cup of coffee and go, wow, look at all of that. Look at how great that field is, because they have a field right off of their back porch.
Yeah.
And so he could look at that one and, maybe say how well that's turning out, or man, we didn't have XYZ happen today, or, or whatever. And hopefully he also just takes a moment to look at his accomplishments and like reap the benefit and enjoy it in that way too. So maybe that's a good thing for the wife to make sure that, as a farmer's wife, that you're reminding him like, hey, look at all this.
Yeah.
I remember a Christmas morning one time when I was younger and my grandparents were still alive and the whole family would get together and we'd do Christmas morning at Grandma and Grandpa's house, or even just like a random gathering. We'd have an out of town cousin or something come visit. And so the whole family would run up to Grandma and Grandpa's and hang out for the night and have a meal and visit the out of town relative. And every once in a while, my grandpa, in the chaos of all the kids conglomerating in different areas and the whole house is loud and popping, and absolutely my favorite time. And my grandpa would look at my grandma and go, look at what we did.
Yeah.
look at all these people we're responsible for bringing into this world. And it was precious. It was always so sweet, but it was also just such a nice reminder. And I think about that often. And I think that's why I look at out at all of music in the park and go, oh, look at what we did. Or I do the same thing with now, looking at my kids and looking at my family and go, wow, look what we did.
Yeah.
So
well, and we do that, and Kevin does that with the grandkids a
yeah.
lot. We look at our family when we get all together. There's like 22 of us, and so there's a lot of us, and we love it, and I love the chaos. But yeah, that's the moment where you're most grateful for those are your accomplishments,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that he does, and I always make sure that I thank him
Mm-hmm.
for all of his hard work.
Yeah.
And for this lifestyle. And I do comment on, he just does such a great job. Like, yeah. He's just so good at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And this year he said that, Louis did the crop pretty much himself. And so yeah. Louis was the praise of yeah. the day from Kevin, and so that was good. That was huge. So that's a wonderful thing when you can
watch that,
hand down that lifestyle yeah. and see that go. So, and yes. in closing, life beside the fields has taught me that to be resilient, that life isn't just about me. Right? There's occasion that I wonder, and have those moments when I need that quality time when
sure.
when I'm upset that it's not. So that's why right. I say that. I say it jokingly, but truly, sure. yeah, that this whole lifestyle has taught me to just be a stronger person.
Mm-hmm.
It has for sure given me lots to be grateful for. The farm itself, our community, mm-hmm. our family. And mm-hmm. I do think that it has made us a stronger, tight-knit, more closer family. And the teamwork that we see, our employees, mm-hmm. are family to me.
Yeah.
And I love all of them. I love all of their spouses. Like, their kids are my kids. It's just one big family in my mind. And so I'm very gracious of that. And I'm just really appreciative for this lifestyle.
And I think as an outsider, I've learned an appreciation for the farming life, but also an appreciation for just knowing where my food is coming from, how the food is getting into your grocery store and onto your table. And, just that sort of overall appreciation for, the circle of life, sort of. But then also being here and being in the throes of it from time to time, I see how, when a lot of your employees are lifelong employees.
Yeah.
They are an extension of your family.
Yeah.
They are as dedicated to your farm as Kevin is.
Yeah.
And like each and every employee is as dedicated. They are as willing to get up in the middle of the night or do the hard thing or get down on the ground and get dirty. Like, I think that tells a lot about how they have learned either by example through Kevin or just in the appreciation of how important farming work is, yeah. that they're willing to show that kind of also 24/7 dedication to the farming, the ranching, everything that's behind it. So I think, it goes without saying that I think the challenge today should really be to thank a farmer and thank a rancher. Remember that that's really where your food is coming from, is the farms and ranches.
And they've worked hard. They've worked hard to put your food on your plate.
Right.
One time we figured it out, and this was back when we were first married. We figured that Kevin made 72 cents an hour.
Wow.
That's what he paid himself, was 72 cents an hour, basically, with all the hours that he put in.
Sure.
That's what it ended up to be. So, thank a farmer, thank their family, because their family has gone without them to events. Gosh, we went to basketball games separately because there was always something that would go wrong right as we're headed into town.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're there and we never get to see people, and we see each other all the time. So we would get there and I was already there visiting with someone, and Kevin would come in and visit with everybody. And at the very end, come and sit with me. And I remember somebody saying, well, are you guys getting divorced? Because he was still walking around,
Right.
and I'm like, no, he'll make his way over. It's just,
it's just
it's life. It's
he
the farm,
doesn't
it's the
get
ranch.
out enough to see people and make connections, so he's just trying to make his connections. But thank a farmer, thank the family. Know that there is a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication that comes from everyone involved.
Everybody.
And I think if we want to like close out with the idea of a farmer's wife can come in a lot of different forms. They can be the nitty gritty and be in there getting filthy dirty like you did in the beginning. They can be in the office making sure that things are running like you did kind of in the middle, or at this stage in your life where it's a lot of support and it's a lot of backbone kind of stuff, and just making sure that what you do helps them do what they're doing. It is just a full
kind of full
circle, and everybody is really participating. So thank a farmer, enjoy whatever meal is put on your plate tonight, and stay empowered.